radio fans. We are now back in the studio. Stand by for your station announcement. And away we go.
Now, I know you'd love to just sit there and keep being not slim, but we got to work a little today, okay?
Broadcasting channels of the entire world will be cleared. In every continent, in every land, in all the four corners of the earth, the whole world over. Men, and women, and children, of every age and race, and nationality, station, and color. Men of every language ready now to listen to the same voice.
1, 2, is this on?
Finally, a way to combine my love of helping people with my love of hurting people.
So sit back, pop open a cold bottle of Brazilian mineral water, enjoy some poached salmon with capers, and adjust the satellite, because we have a great show.
And there was much rejoicing.
Unleash the fury.
Unleash the fury!
Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear.
It's Erik Nagel.
And we are here on a Saturday night once again on Sirius 206, XM 103. It is Erik Nagel, that is me. E-Rock Radio on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to give the show a call, 866-969-1969. Every good call today, deemed by us, wins a movie.
You're very generous.
Yes. Well, it's been stocking up, and we got to get rid of some of them. Roland's been driving me crazy. So we have a lot to give away here and a lot to talk about. But joining me, as always, this week is Matt.
Yes, sir.
Geek Stuff OG on Twitter.
And Instagram, yes, that's where I am.
And making his return, comedian Brian DeMoy is back.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How are you?
How's it going, Brian?
I'm doing well.
Brian's here to make some corrections from the last appearance that he had where he got his dates wrong.
I'm glad we got that right out of the way. Fan-fucking-tastic.
You know he was going to do that, right?
Oh, yeah. I was the one who sent him the text. I'm like, I just got a call from the club being like, hey, thanks for plugging it, but wrong fucking dates. And I was like, oh, shit.
Who was there on the dates that you plugged?
What's that?
Who was the comic there on the dates that you plugged?
I have no idea. I have no idea what the hell was. I was like, whatever. I got the days right, but the date of the month was wrong. So I was like all fucked up. So I was like Thursday, but I called it the 13th, which was really the 18th. And then
let's give them out now so that you have it done, and because you might forget about it later.
My dates for this month, I got fucking nothing going on really. Just follow me on Twitter at Brian DeMoy.
And you have a podcast too.
I do have a podcast. Yeah, you can listen to there. I get my dates there. It's called Random Occurrences. You can find it on Stitcher, on iTunes. It's on everywhere that podcasts are found these days.
So I know I have no faith in myself, and maybe some of the people listening. Spell DeMoy for me.
Okay, sorry, that's DEMOY.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, because I didn't know if it was like OIS.
No, yeah, I get Des Moines. I got brought on stage one night as Brian Domingo, which was interesting.
Nice.
I was like, really? Do I look Latin?
Brian DeMoy.
Technically, yeah, because it is capital MOY, but like, I'm not going to get that fancy.
So the podcast is called what?
Random Occurrences.
Random Occurrences. Yeah. You subscribe, iTunes, Stitcher, all that stuff. What is it about? What do you do?
The whole idea behind the podcast is funny enough, like, because talking Tusk and all the rest of that fun stuff that has been going on this past week. Kevin Smith, is like kind of inspired me in his book, and the whole idea is like, there's a lot of people in New York City. There's a lot of musicians, a lot of comedians, a lot of actors, or what have you. And like, you always end up meeting people, and randomly. And these people, end up having bands and are actually really talented. You go check out their music and check out all their stuff. And it doesn't really cost you much. And these people are really talented. So I was like, you know what? Why not? These are people who I've met randomly, and just we hang out and they tell their story and play their music or just shoot the shit. So
and when do the shows go up online?
Every Wednesday.
Is it live or?
No, I can't. I mean, we thought about doing it live, and it was like such a pain in the ass. So it's on. It goes up every Wednesday. Try to keep it as close to every Wednesday. Sometimes it's Thursday.
Yeah, well, that's how the podcast world goes sometimes.
Yeah, because it's a one-man freaking show, basically.
Right,
so it's me, and there's a comic, Brendan Sagalow, who's on the show with me, who's just pretty much an unfiltered fool. So we threw him on the podcast, and so he's there with me every week.
Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
And I wish you were here last time, because we were talking about Greatest American Hero.
Right.
That they're bringing it back.
Yes.
And he thought nobody gave a shit about it.
I was listening, and you got quite the ribbing that evening. And had I been here, I would have been on your side. So I was with you in spirit.
Right.
After the
But
fact.
DeMoy and Gittles just destroyed me over this, and the callers were no help.
Well, yeah, because it was all like people in their 50s being like, "Oh yeah, I love that show when I was a tyke." And it's like, why?
And the people that did like it, he challenged somebody,
Like anybody
under 30 to call in about the show, and nobody did.
Well, because by the time you at this point, by the time you were under 30, it had reached the point where it was on syndication. But when it was on, it was on
syndication?
I think so, because I seem to remember it being on quite often and multiple episodes at a clip.
Wow.
So, I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it's just my fucked up memory, but
Yeah.
I
Never
watched it.
Oh, well, it's coming out soon.
Yay!
So now you can rewatch what you didn't watch.
And I didn't go home and watch it on Netflix. You did
Right.
tell me, isn't it? Like,
I think it's on Netflix, yeah.
I didn't watch any of it.
Of course you didn't.
Because you're the greatest American loser. That's really what it is.
Speaking of Netflix, something I've been watching and binge watching.
Yes.
We had Nick Kroll on the Opie and Jim Norton show.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, and I decided to finally break down and watch The League.
Okay, good. Because I haven't watched this yet, but you've convinced me now that I need to, and I know that I can catch it on Netflix, so I will start binging tonight.
I'm
probably.
almost done with season 5, which means I'll be up to season 6, which is what's going on right now.
Okay.
And it's a little disappointing because I wanted a lot more to watch, but the show is great.
How many episodes per season? Is it like a full 22-episode season?
13.
Oh, okay, so they're
13
short.
episodes a season.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I can zip through that.
That means I could actually catch up on it.
It keeps showing up on my little like recommend for you
Yeah.
and Netflix. I've never watched it either, and like I'm a big sports guy, so I'm actually
It's a mix
like
between
fantasy.
sports and, people don't think that these fantasy sports guys are nerdy,
Right.
but they are.
Oh yeah.
But they're from all walks of life. There's a girl doing it too. And just because of the insanity of this show, football players show up every now and then in the weirdest occurrences. Like they ran into somebody in the coffee shop, or this guy's dating this other one's ex-girlfriend. So they work all the football players in there, and they're always trying to get inside information about setting up their lineup for the next week and things like
What
that.
channel is it actually on?
FXX now.
Okay, so, because I was going to say, I think there's a panel at New York Comic Con coming up in 2 weeks, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, I believe are the dates, or 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that. But anyway, and I think it's Archer and The League are part of the same panel.
Right, and because they were both FX programs.
Right.
Now, The League is now on FXX. I'm not 100% sure if Archer's making the move over to that network as well, but now that you mention it, I think I'm going to be talking to casts of both shows at Comic-Con.
Fantastic.
Which is great, because Archer is an amazing show. Have you watched Archer?
I've seen a few episodes, yeah.
That show is hilarious.
It's unreal the direction they take this show in and what they get away with.
I will admit, last season was a little annoying. I didn't
think
like
last
the break
season,
in formula last season.
Well, I think because of ISIS.
Maybe.
Because their organization was called ISIS.
Yeah, I know.
And now the ISIS terrorist group is out. So I think they were trying to make the break where they lost the agency, and now they were peddling
cocaine.
They were trying to sell cocaine to the Colombians, not from the Colombians.
Yeah.
And they just did this whole sidetrack thing. I think it's to reset. When they come back, they'll do something brand new with it.
Pam became way annoying to me. She was almost unwatchable some episodes with her cocaine habit, addiction, whatever.
It was great
tough.
because when she had the cocaine habit, then she got real thin.
She got thin, yeah.
And then she just became annoying instead of being fat annoying. Because all they would do is just make these really hurtful fat jokes to her.
Of course.
Right. And that's what made the show.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's still a good show,
Fat
don't get me
shaming.
wrong. But
Much like the old Opie and Anthony show towards me, towards Roland, towards
What do you
Steve.
mean- what do you mean
fat
old?
shaming was well, Opie and Anthony doesn't exist
Well,
anymore.
that's true, yeah.
Right. So, fat shaming is a staple of some shows and actually is funny when you're not on that side.
Right.
So, Archer on FX, you should definitely check that out if you haven't as well. But New York Comic Con is coming up in a couple of weeks. I will be there. And Matt's other show, Big Kev's Geek Stuff, will be there as well.
We will be there. We will have a booth 127, which is near the Block area. So the Block is where all like the designer toys and artists hang out. And we're like 2 booths away from where that ends. But we'll have a bunch of exclusives and toys and stuff. I have an exclusive that we're doing that I know you're going to be excited about.
Right. I don't think we can talk about it yet, right?
I could tease it.
You can tease it?
Yeah, it's a mashup.
I want one of these.
It's a mashup of Doctor Who, which is one of the things you love more than anything in the world, and Star Wars, which apparently Roland loves. Sort of, he says. So
no, Roland's a huge Star Wars fan.
I'm teasing. I like to bust his balls.
Now, if this was the other show, they would say in both sense of the word.
Yes.
Of the word. But I'm not taking a shot at Roland here. He's a huge Star Wars fan. I just got him the Han Solo figure from the Black series.
Nice.
And he was beyond himself. Like, he took it out. He's switching the hands and the heads and the guns, and he's attacking. There was little kids here the other day. And
oh, good. I'm going to leave him a little something in the office tonight, too, that he could play with his Han Solo.
He loves Star
figure.
Wars toys.
So, but yeah, so we have an awesome exclusive coming out that I know you're going to be excited about. So,
well, that's great. And this is going to be on sale at your
our booth.
table?
Yeah, 127.
Okay.
It's I'm just going to say it. It's an R2D2 Dalek mashup. It's the R2 Dalek, and it's pretty fucking awesome. And I'm working with this artist Chris Dolfer to put it together. And I've seen the test pulls on it, and it's pretty cool. There's only going to be 10 of them, so.
I can't wait for New York Comic Con this year. I want to get one of those. Stop by your table. League, Archer. The cast of Bob's Burgers is there.
Nice.
Patrick Stewart is there.
Yep.
Which is always exciting because I have my Stonecutters figure. I'm going to try to get it signed. Nerding. Yes.
Stephen Amell's going to be there, and
right.
I'm a huge Arrow fan, so I'm way excited about that.
I think we put in for him. I don't know if we've got a confirmation from him yet.
I hope so.
But if we do, you're going to come do that interview because I have nothing to talk to that guy about.
Yes.
I'll be like, hi, how you doing? This is Matt. I'll be back in 10.
Out.
So that's exciting. What are some of the other things going on? NECA, our friends from NECA Toys, will have a huge table display there. And the Sunday, the last day of New York Comic Con, they have Brett the Hitman Hart there
they've
signing.
confirmed that now? That's awesome.
That's what I was told.
That's awesome.
He's going to be there, and he's signing his NECA Simpsons figure.
Nice.
I'm sure he'll sign other things too. It may cost you more, but that's what he's there to promote, and that's what he'll be there doing. And I can't wait to see Brett. And then the usual stuff.
Yeah,
has become, lore on the show. Sam says I have a lot of pocket money, so I go around shopping on the main floor there.
You have to.
And it's usually for, the vinyl toys or cool t-shirts.
You're amongst like 100,000 other like-minded individuals.
Right,
There's always stuff to buy.
Judging
but a lot of that, I know, but I'm judging them because a lot of them are horrible
well,
people.
Look, there's, there's those.
I've seen some assholes that are, in full costume that are just so pompous, like they're the guy from the video game or the movie, whatever they're displaying, and they walk around like they're better than people.
I don't knock
and
the
you're like, get the fuck out of the way. I'm looking at a t-shirt. I don't need to, he's got some magic story about his sword and all this shit. It's just move.
I don't knock the cosplayers because a lot of them do put a lot of hard work into that stuff.
They do.
But I know what you're talking about.
They have separate areas where they do their cosplay. They put on their shows, and that's fine, but I don't need to be a part of it. It's over there. It's when they're walking amongst the regular people and being assholes. And then there's some dicks who I've seen pickpocketing and stealing bags, and there's shitheads in every kind of convention that you go to.
Wallet in your front pocket, backpack on your chest.
Ooh, I want to go to this caller here. By the way, 866-969-1969. Every good call, we're going to give away movies and stuff. We've got a lot of good stuff. Where's the movie list here? We've got stuff from Godzilla, Neighbors, Transcendence, that's that Johnny Depp movie, and Blended, which I have as well.
I'm going to say before you even go to this call, because I know which call you're going to, I'm going to say just based on the content, you're going to give him something.
Well, let's see how it fares out here. Chad in Wisconsin. Chad.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Hi,
Chad. Rockin' dudes. How's it going today, man?
It's good.
How are you?
Good. Say about 2 months ago, maybe 3, Jim was busting your balls, E-Rock, about Stargate. And you had dropped a hint that you had heard maybe that there's going to be some new Stargate stuff, and I was wondering if you can maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, what I heard was the new Stargate stuff that is supposedly coming is made by the people who wrote the original screenplay. The movie that had James Spader and Kurt Russell in it. And what happened is they sold or licensed the rights to MGM, who made the TV show and all the spinoffs, and they went in a direction that the original guy who wrote everything wasn't happy with. Didn't like everything that they did.
Was it Roland Emmerich that was the guy behind that?
Yeah, I can't remember the name. You might be right. Anyway, so he got some of these rights back to do more movies, and originally he wanted to do Stargate as a trilogy. So now they're starting the second and third movie, which are going to tie into the first movie and pretend that the TV shows and all the spinoffs never existed. I don't know how happy I am about that, but more Stargate content is good for me.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, I love that Stargate stuff. I've always been just diehard about all the episodes and movies. I think it'll be great, whatever they come up with.
I just wish they could have figured out a way, or they could figure out a way to not discount the 10 plus years, or probably more than that, right after, because Atlantis and Universe, all that content to move forward with the film franchise.
They're picking up from them being stranded on the alien planet after killing Ra and then leaving. Then the second movie will start from there, ignoring everything else. Which is bullshit, but then you're torn between, I want more content, and that's the only way I'm going to get it, then I guess I have to accept it.
Is Kurt Russell
I'm willing to give it a shot, that's for sure.
I don't know. It could be at this point, he could come back. He was still stranded on that planet with everybody else.
Is James Spader coming back?
I don't know.
He's
he's in Blacklist.
Yeah.
James Spader.
He's also Ultron.
James Spader was here this week.
Really?
He was in the office next to me doing a phoner, right? So I'm waiting with Roland, and we're talking like, oh my God, it's James Spader. And I didn't know he was going to be here that day, and I was pissed because I had been trying to get him to sign my damn Stargate poster.
Of course.
So he's waiting there. I'm like, at least I could get the photo. And we're waiting, and then all of a sudden, he bolts out of that office with his assistant or the publicist who was with him, makes a beeline for that side door that we have here, into the elevator and gone.
Damn.
So we're like, God damn it! I was like, what can I do? But I was kind of pissed that
Of course.
I love James Spader, so I wanted to get a photo with him. Didn't happen. About 5-10 minutes goes by. I go downstairs and I said, screw it, I'm going to go get a drink. I'm leaving the building. He's still in the lobby of the building with the publicist that was with him and another girl who might be another publicist for NBC. And he's silently yelling at them. So he dresses kind of artsy. He's got a weird hat on and everything in the jacket. But he's pointing at her, and then he points to the other girl with the same finger, and he's very emotional with his facial expressions, but he's not yelling. You don't hear it. So I walk outside of the building. I'm talking to somebody. I keep peeking in through the glass. He's still in the lobby talking to these two ladies. Finally, about 5 minutes later after that, he comes out. All the paparazzi's downstairs, TMZ and everybody else. They're all taking photos, whatever. He's walking right to the car. Opens up the car door, turns around, poses for photos for the rest of the paparazzi. They get their stuff and they leave. He slams the door and then starts yelling at those two girls again.
Ooh, he was upset
but
about something.
I'm again not hearing what he's saying, but he's just pointing and like whatever. So I'm like, what is going on here, right? And none of the paparazzi are photographing this. So I'm like, something weird's happening. Then these huge basketball-sized black dudes walk over. And they're like talking to him, and he's looking up at them, and now all of them are posing for pictures. I'm like, everyone's getting a picture with James Spader, but me.
You should have just went
I
up
was
to
expecting
him.
you to go up to you tell those bitches, and then he was like, "Can I get a picture?"
So he takes the photos with those guys. He shakes their hands, and then he turns away from the ladies, gets in the car, and the car leaves, and then they walk off wherever. So I'm like, all this time, I was trying to figure out where can I walk up to say, hey, I'm a big fan, can I get a photo? Not an opportunity. And, those four gentlemen just kind of forced their hand, which rightfully so.
Sure.
And they got their photo, and I'll just have to wait for another day.
You should have just gone up doe-eyed like a little boy, Mr. Spader.
So all your Daniel Jackson questions are gone unanswered then, huh?
They have, and I'm sure that's the last movie he wants to talk about between that and Pretty in Pink. Was that the movie he was in? Yeah. So, do you talk to Ducky? All right, Chad, I'm going to give you a movie here. Let's give you one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want Transcendence with Johnny Depp? Do you want Neighbors with Seth Rogen and Zac Efron? Or do you want a copy of Godzilla?
How about Neighbors?
You want Neighbors? All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on hold. Line 2, Chad's getting Neighbors. Good for Chad. One down and many more movies to go. Are we done with New York Comic Con? Was there anything else?
No.
Any
We kind
exclusives?
of snuck into that randomly. But
it worked.
Yeah, of course.
TV news. You want to get into some of that?
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to talk a little bit about. The Simpsons is pretty big, right? Because that crossover is Sunday,
right?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, the crossover. It's two different things. One is at 8:00 on Fox. Is the new Simpsons episode, start of season 26.
Okay.
26 seasons, if you can believe that.
That's insane.
An episode called Clown in the Dumps, and they're teasing that some cast member is dying.
Oh.
So they're getting rid of one of the guys from Springfield there.
Not the only one who gets his dates wrong. It's dates wrong on the page.
No.
No, it's wrong on your page. September 26th is not Sunday. September 28th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
Typo.
See, it can fucking happen to anybody in this room.
Well, I didn't give the date. You did. I just said Sunday at 8:00. So, no. So you have Simpsons at 8:00 with a brand new episode. And then at 9:00, which is the Family Guy slot,
right?
They're doing the crossover.
Okay.
Where the Griffins somehow wind up in Springfield. And if you've seen the trailer online, they're just fighting most of the time.
Yeah. And Is Futurama involved in this?
There's a Futurama crossover sometime in November.
Oh, so that's
I heard.
coming separately. Okay.
Right, which is exciting because the teaser I saw for that had Bender and Homer yelling at each other.
I miss Futurama. Like a lot.
You know what's weird with Futurama? I didn't like it when it first came out.
Really?
Even though it was on right after The Simpsons. I gave one episode a shot and I was like, this is stupid, and I didn't enjoy it, and I just ignored it. Then it went off the air and the DVD sets came out.
Yeah, I remember when we went on vacation, you were like addicted to the box sets.
Right.
You were sitting there with the little DVD player.
And I got them and I started watching them, and then I plowed through everything, and I'm like, this show is amazing. And a lot of times it was better than The Simpsons. So then they brought it back, and then the movies and everything. And
I really regret not buying that big DVD set that was Bender's head.
Right?
Did you see that? Like it opened up, and all the discs were like stacked inside of his head. It was Bender's head in the jar.
Right.
Kind of like the president's in the jar.
Okay,
It's God damn it. Costco had them for like dirt cheap at one point in time. I'm an ass.
So
it happens.
But I wound up collecting the Kid Robot vinyl toys of Futurama. There's Wave 2 that's out right now. If you're into any of those
Only
things,
Wave 2? I thought they were past that. Oh, because they have some of the big ones too, like the Devil was one of the big ones.
The Devil, they did.
What's his name on the lounge chair?
Yeah, I don't remember. Some of those other robot side pieces, I don't remember. But there's King Bender too, dressed up in the bling and everything. So if you like those kind of things, kidrobot.com, you can check that out as well. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming back for season 2.
It started up Tuesday night.
Not the ratings they were hoping for. And the weird thing is last season was spotty too, because it started off strong because it had Avengers to give it some push. And then it kind of went down for a while, but towards the end of season 1, they had Captain America 2, which brought it right back up again.
I think it's just the new season probably, and I think a lot of people probably watch it on their DVR too on demand.
How are they even doing that? I'm like, what are they? What's the universe on that? I don't watch the show, but I mean, like, because at the end of Captain America 2, the Shield is done.
Well, now it's Coulson and Friends. So Coulson is trying to sort of put
that
Shield.
Sounds like a 70s sitcom.
No.
Coulson and Friends with like the Henri.
Coulson is trying to put Shield back together because Shield isn't fully eliminated, and neither is Hydra. And the United States is no longer backing Shield, so Coulson's kind of torn. And
so does it is the show running between the movies?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So after the Avengers, Shield is like
it's all part of the cinematic universe.
Yeah, the first season starts in real time after the events of New York of Avengers. And the cool thing about the show, too, is that they have when they're walking through S.H.I.E.L.D., you'll see little things in the background, like scientists are working on some piece of the spaceship that got destroyed in Manhattan during Avengers. They're working on it, trying to find new technology. So they try to work the universe really well by tying everything in together, unlike DC. But season 2 is now up and running for the S.H.I.E.L.D.
And they brought one of my favorite quirky villains on S.H.I.E.L.D., Absorbing Man. I don't know why. I've always liked that dude. And he was the big bad in the first episode, and they didn't kill him, which means he's still around. So, yeah.
I'm interested that Patton Oswalt is part of season 2.
Yeah, he's got to be alive. He is, but there's like multiple versions of him.
All right, but my thing is that the guy who doesn't watch this stuff, how is it like, all right, so you've got Captain America, you've got Iron Man, you've got Thor, you've got all these other people like, all right, they're busy, so we'll just get like Mark from accounting to take care of this case.
No,
I don't understand.
No, they're taking you into what the agency does outside of the superhero issues that are going on.
Right.
The agency existed before the superheroes, and they exist during the superheroes. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're showing you all the cases that don't warrant Iron Man or Hulk or Thor. I mean, there's other things that are going on, and that's what these agents do. Patton Oswalt used to tweet about this show obsessively. He was a big fan of the show, and then they said, do you want to be part of this show? And yes, and there he goes.
He's got to be a life model decoy on the show, because there's like 4 different versions of him.
Right.
And they all have the same last name but a different first name. It's weird.
Well, good for him.
Good for him.
I enjoy Patton. He's always been very cool when he comes in to do Opie and Anthony and whatnot, and I'm happy to see that he's on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, going to DC, who seems to be just throwing everything against the wall to see it stick.
Do we have to?
DC has a lot of shows this fall. First, there's Gotham, which is on Fox Monday night.
That also
8
premiered.
p.m. It just premiered. They just said, hey, here's the first episode. Everybody's in this episode.
Everybody.
We'll show you everybody except Batman, because it predates Batman. And
but Bruce Wayne is in it.
Aren't
but
they
that's not
teasing
Batman
the Joker
yet.
throughout the show? Like every episode, you think that somebody could be the Joker?
They didn't in the first episode.
Yes, they absolutely did.
They did? Where?
The stand-up comedian.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, so the Joker is one of those characters that doesn't have a definitive origin in the DC universe. There are
I
multiple
thought they did. I
theories
thought he
about
was a stand-up comic that his wife got killed or something.
No,
like
there's
that.
because every time that we think there's an origin, he's like, well, that's one of the stories I like to tell. So there's no actual definitive origin, but one of them was a stand-up comic, and that was the allusion to the Joker in the first episode. Okay. And so what they've said they're going to do is there's going to be some sort of hint at the Joker through almost every episode in the first season. Season 1 will end with the introduction of the Joker into the universe. So that's where they're leading. That's going to be the big reveal.
I heard good things.
End.
I didn't watch the episode.
Well, the tease I read too was that Joker will not be present in the first season.
Yeah, I think it's going to end the first season. There'll be some sort of reveal or allusion, and then.
But isn't the girl that plays Catwoman? Isn't she like a lot older than apparently Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, she's like a teenager.
Okay.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne is like 10, I think.
All right, so from the posters, it looked like she was in her 20s.
No,
that's gonna be weird.
She's anywhere from like 14 to 17.
Yeah. Okay,
and he's just about 10 years old, and his parents just died.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark.
So that's going on, which is getting, depending who you read and what articles, they like it or hate it. I say give it at least 4 episodes to see if this is going to work out or not.
It had its problems. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to hate it. That's about as nice as I could say.
See, now from a guy from the outside perspective, my old roommate was a big Comic-Con guy, but he is a hardcore Marvel fanboy,
right?
And I find either people are all Marvel and hate DC, or the other way around, which is very rare.
I like characters on both sides.
Yeah, I think you got to just pick and choose who you like and what's interesting, not draw the lines by who the company is.
Right. Like, I'm a huge Green Arrow fan, and that's DC, but I'm also a huge Marvel fan. Spider-Man, Guardians, like all those characters. I love reading those books, the X-Men books when I was growing up. So, I mean, I managed to wiggle between the two.
Yeah, because like this kid's just like the only one he'll accept is Batman.
Okay.
He accepts Batman, and then everything else is Marvel. Everything else sucks by DC.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Let's move through the DC stuff here because we're running out of time. We're going to talk to Haley Joel Osment about Tusk in a little bit, and we got to talk some Tusk as well. Also coming from DC, Constantine is coming on Fridays at 10 p.m., which is going to premiere October 24th. Yep. I like Constantine. I enjoyed the Keanu Reeves movie. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did.
I like the character. So
I like the story
Hellblazer was a great book. It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Supergirl is coming to CBS. No time period on that yet.
No, it was just greenlit, so they haven't even filmed anything. They haven't cast it.
It's going to be horrible. Titans is coming to TNT. Is it
new
Teen
animated
Titans,
series?
Right?
Yep, new animated series. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's a live action series, yes. And people are excited about that because people have been asking for some version of Nightwing.
That's the article I read. Said Nightwing starts off the first episode. He leaves Batman and Nightwing and all that stuff. Arrow, of course, which Matt is a big fan of, is on the CW Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. Season 2 premieres on October 8th.
Season 3.
Season 3?
Season 3.
All right. So my bad. I thought it was season 2. Season 3.
Dates wrong all over the place.
That's my fault. I should have caught that one.
Yeah,
Damn me.
I read season 2. My bad. Season 3 premieres on October 18th, and they're doing a crossover with the new show, The Flash, which also premieres on Tuesday, the day before, October 7th.
And if I read it right, somewhere around episode 8 of each show this season, there's going to be a huge crossover event, like two 2-hour episodes. So a 2-hour episode of Arrow, 2-hour episode of Flash, and it's going to be a huge crossover event. And they're touting it as Flash versus Arrow or Arrow versus Flash. So clearly they're going to butt heads in some capacity. I mean, I'm sure they'll all be buddy-buddy by the end. But
all right. So that's what's going on as far as DC shows that are coming out. Jumping back to Marvel real quick. We're running out of time here. Captain America 3, new news. Jeremy Renner said in an interview with MTV that he would be happy to be part of the ensemble.
Yep.
He hasn't heard anything official yet, but there's whispers of that his character, which means his character is going to be in Captain America 3. So Hawkeye will be there. Also, later tonight, 11:30 NBC, Saturday Night Live premieres.
Yes.
Chris Pratt. You may know him from Parks and Recreation. You may know him as Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. Will be hosting tonight, so you should definitely check that out. And musical guest Ariana Grande, whose brother just did Big Brother 16 here in the United States, and what a douchebag he is, and you can see where the family genes are matching up. Yeah. So you have that as well, and the other movies. Well, Deadpool. Fox said that February 12th, 2016 is the date.
Confirmed.
No Ryan Reynolds confirmation yet, but Tim Miller is directing.
But everybody knows Ryan Reynolds.
And it might be a PG-13 rating.
We'll see. We'll see.
I hope it goes R, because it definitely needs to be
Of
R.
course, we all hope it goes R, because that's where it belongs.
One other thing before we get into Tusk here, the Global Citizens Festival was going on here in Central Park. If you saw it on any of the NBC networks, packed. The lawn was packed. A lot of big acts there. Jay-Z, no doubt. I was watching the Roots before we left.
Nice.
They were performing.
Yeah,
they
that's
did
right.
a great job.
Love the Roots.
Carrie Underwood, who I think was on right after them, but we had left to come into the city at the time, so I didn't get to see that. globalcitizens.org if you want to donate or buy some of the things that they put out there. They're trying to end world poverty by the year 2030.
Because they're swell.
Yeah, they're trying to do it within a generation, which is kind of cool. So,
That's awesome.
Go check that out, globalcitizen.org. We had Hugh Evans on the show this week talking about it, so I went and checked it out today. I got to make a donation. Some of the shirts they had look pretty cool.
Nice.
So I might get one of those.
I'll check it out.
Let's talk Tusk before we get to Haley Joel Osment here. Matt has not seen the movie.
I have not.
I went to a screening before it came out, and Brian went and saw the movie.
Yep. I went and paid money. I put into the kitty for Kevin Smith for that whole under $1 million that it made opening weekend.
Yeah. Well, look, he was honest about it. He said he didn't think it was going to break the bank anywhere as far as, record sales in the box office, but he made it for such a low cost that already they're making their money back as far as...
By the time we're there, he's saying like Canadian release and overseas it'll be...
And then when it hits video on demand...
When it hits video on demand, that's when he'll make all the money.
Yeah. And the DVDs and all the extra stuff that he's going to add to it. And he was tinkering on his most recent episode of Smodcast. He was tinkering in some of the ideas of what they're going to do for the DVD releases and what have you. And it'll definitely make its money. It only cost him $3 million.
Yeah.
And it only took 15 days to shoot the movie. So
I didn't realize Johnny Depp is in it?
That's all it was.
Johnny Depp's in it. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
He's a fairly big part in the film.
Johnny Depp got into the movie because his daughter was in the movie. There's a scene in the movie where there's two convenience store girls in Canada. One is Kevin's daughter, and her best friend is Johnny Depp's daughter. And they've known each other since they were little kids.
Yeah.
So they were already cast in the movie, and then Johnny reached out to Kevin. It's like, could I do this? And no, Mr. Depp, you can't come into my movie.
Yeah.
That'll put me over budget.
Yeah.
So Johnny Depp comes in and
With
he
a prosthetic
plays
nose with like
he plays the French Canadian inspector in the movie, and he does really good. You don't see Johnny Depp unless you know it's Johnny Depp. You don't know it's Johnny Depp.
I like Johnny Depp.
I saw it with Brendan Sagel, the kid from the podcast, and he's sitting next to me. He's like, "That looks like Johnny Depp," and I'm like, "It is Johnny Depp, you idiot."
Kevin said on one of his podcasts that Johnny has his own makeup guy.
Yeah.
So they brought their own. He designed how the guy was going to look, and he said for a while they're talking about stuff, Johnny's just walking around with the fake nose. So Kevin's trying to have a serious conversation with him, but Johnny Depp's walking around with his big old nose, and he said, "Well, I'm looking at this guy," and they just said, "Whatever you want to do."
Yeah,
that's what the guy's going to look like.
There was an interview I heard that it's like the nose kind of looks like a dick, and they actually put like a purple vein up the one side of the nose, so in like one of the angles, it does look like he has a cock on his face.
Because they're trying to, and if anyone asks, no, it's a coke nose.
Yeah,
the guy had a rough history, and it's not a dick nose at all.
No, not at all.
But it's about a podcaster who goes around searching for unique and bizarre stories in the hope to make good, interesting radio, but really he's just making fun of a lot of these people.
Yeah,
so
he's apparently a dick.
He got really famous for making fun of people who have ailments and handicaps and things like that. And so I guess you would say he gets his comeuppance by meeting this gentleman who had a story about a walrus, and if you wanted to live at his place, you'd wear the walrus suit for a couple hours a day, and then you got free lodging and all this other stuff.
Well, that's the actual origin of the movie. But in the movie, the note he finds on the bathroom wall, it's just like, I lived a life of adventure, stories to tell, and life to share, and blah blah. So that he just calls him up. He's like, "This is perfect. You're exactly what I want." And he brings him over.
Yeah, we walked in right as that was happening, so I did forget about that.
All right.
Well, I couldn't get there in time. Sorry. I was at the Roland and I were getting a cab, and when we got there, we got there.
So you only sort of saw the movies.
Well, no,
I saw
that's
all of it.
That's like 15 minutes in. It's not. It moves itself along pretty quickly.
It doesn't lag. The only part I thought lagged, but this is where it becomes, and it's not a bad thing. A Kevin Smith movie is when they're with Johnny Depp's character in the burger place. There's just a long conversation.
The Gimli
Sliders place.
Yeah.
There's a long conversation, and then the rest of it is not a traditional Kevin Smith movie.
And this is a horror movie, right?
Ish.
It's a campy horror movie.
Yeah,
so like Slither, maybe?
You remember those old horror movies that used to come out of England, like in the 70s, where they weren't like how Americans were doing it with Friday the 13th and stuff you used to see on like USA Up All Night, those kind of things.
It's just more creepy.
Yeah, it was more creepy, but there was humor into it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what this is.
Okay.
And it just takes some bizarre turns. And I do recommend seeing the movie and judging for yourself
fun.
on it.
I mean, everybody gives it shit, but I don't know why. I mean, like, look,
sometimes you just go to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
course.
When people are like, well, it's a little unbelievable story. It's like, yeah, but meanwhile, Expendables 4 is going to get made, and like everybody's tapping a 70-year-old on the shoulder to like join the mission. It's
when
like,
anybody says this movie is unbelievable to any movie, you just want to slap them across the. It's a fucking movie.
Yeah,
of course,
just go
it's
and enjoy it. It's
unbelievable.
funny. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
the whole
mean,
point of it.
sometimes you just have to enjoy what's in front of you. You just have to just take it in. And I can't imagine you go into Tusk expecting a super serious Oscar-nominated.
Well, I think people were like, because Red State was really scary.
Of course.
And very, like, it took itself seriously.
But this was a different.
Yeah, it was a completely different
approach,
animal.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's his True North trilogy. I mean, like Yoga Hosers is coming next.
It's the second movie
which
which stars his daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter, and then there's a third movie called Moose Jaws, which he says is Jaws but with a moose.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll see how all that goes.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you know what? It's great. I'm down. You know,
maybe
what I mean?
next
Like,
time
it's just funny.
Mr. Smith could call in when he has time. He's shooting.
Well, that'd be nice.
The new season of Comic Book Men for AMC, so he was really busy. So next time, maybe at Comic Con, we get a chance to speak to him. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, he'll be there, right?
We got to get to Haley Joel Osment.
Yes.
So I don't say Osment.
Yes.
And let's get the plugs out of the way here. Brian, where are you going to be? And let's talk about your podcast.
Just check me out. Check me out on Twitter. I always throw my dates up there. I got like a couple of small shows coming up in October. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter at Brian DeMoy, DEMOY on Twitter, and on Facebook, Instagram. I'm all just Brian DeMoy.
And Matt?
Of course, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at GeekStuffOG. If you're coming to New York Comic Con, check out booth 127, Big Kev's Geek Stuff. We have some awesome exclusives. Chris Delfer, George Vega, Doc A, a bunch of great art and toy from people. And of course, check out BigKevsGeekStuff.com. 350 episodes. We've been on the air for 8 years, and we've got lots of stuff. And I think with that, we're going to take a break, and we will be back shortly with Haley Joel Osment.
It's Erik Nagel. Erik Nagel.
I'm here with Haley Joel Osment. You'd be surprised how many people get your last name mixed up. Osmond, they think you're part of the Osmond family, and
it's an unusual surname. I haven't found anybody I wasn't related to who had it. So,
do you think it might be something like? Do you know who John Cleese is from Monty Python and all that?
Yeah.
The history of his name is his father changed it after the war. His real last name is Cheese.
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious.
I didn't know
he
that.
didn't like the name, so he changed it to Cleese. So when John was doing some of that family archive stuff, and he was trying to find anybody else with that last name, it didn't exist.
It sounds like a real name too. That's a really good invented name, Cleese.
Yeah. Do you think somebody in your family may have changed the name at some point?
The little that I don't think I've done. An uncle of mine did some research on our family history, and we're very, very Irish. There's a lot of Mulvaneys and things like that. But Osmond appears to be an English name, so the wild guess is that perhaps some English soldier or somebody garrisoned over there, passed on the name. But it's hard to know. Nobody's dived into Ancestry.com with the appropriate rigor yet.
Well, they still do that show on NBC. Maybe that's something you should reach out about.
The only clue that I've gotten recently is that Rob McElhaney and I kind of look similar to each other, and apparently I look even more like his brother. So when I did this thing on Always Sunny, I was like, would it be creepy to go like plug us into Ancestry.com? Probably. So I didn't do it.
Don't want to do the old DNA test, scraping the cheek and
Rob,
nail it
can
out.
I get a swab from you by the end of the day? Yeah.
So you're here promoting Tusk, which is I went and said it's an unusual movie. I like the whole story building up to the actual release of the movie. Maybe most people don't know at this point, but I'm sure a lot of people do. It started with Kevin's podcast where they were discussing it, and then it just went on from there. When was the first time that you heard about Tusk?
I mean, my route into the movie was I just got an email and a voicemail from my agent manager late one night, and they were laughing. They're going, "Oh man, we have a movie for you." And I didn't know the whole walrus backstory, and I knew Kevin's podcast, but I hadn't heard that episode. So I went into the script kind of cold. And you know, the chronology of the film has been changed up a little bit in the final cut, but in the original screenplay, you had 50 pages of character development. You got to know Justin and me as these podcasters, and then Genesis is his girlfriend, and got the love triangle, and then Michael Parks tells all these stories. And by the time you get to the guy chopping up people and making them into walruses, you sort of bought the reality of the movie, at least in my experience. So that's how I got in.
So when your agent pitched this movie to you, were you already being considered by Kevin's camp? Because
it came from Kevin.
It did come from Kevin.
Yeah, I think he had something, an idea for me a long time ago that hadn't panned out, and so he came back.
It's the weird and great thing with Kevin's movie choices and his casting is that there's always some kind of friendly tie to the people that he casts in there. Very rarely does he get somebody that he doesn't have some kind of connection with or wanted to work with in the past or has worked in the past with, with the exception of Johnny Depp, which was a great story because his daughter was in the movie.
Yeah,
and then
he's like, I knew I had one chance to ask him to do something, and he wanted it. He said he waited 10 years to find the right thing to ask him to do, and it was kind of cool it was this.
So you get approached for the movie, you're pitched the idea, they send you the script. What are you thinking as soon as you start reading this?
Well, actually, there wasn't really a pitch or anything. I just got the script and an email that had all those names saying these, because I was one of the last people to get attached. And so I basically was on greased rails going towards it already, going, oh man, Johnny Depp, Michael Parks, like Justin, Genesis, and, you know, always like Kevin. So I was reading the scripts going like, I'm going to do it. I hope it's good. And it ended up being something that I also liked.
Did you go back and listen to the podcast to see where this started?
Yeah, absolutely did. And it's really funny to listen to these guys, you know, really stoned and not knowing that they're walking into this movie that's turned into a big thing for everybody.
Now, you play Teddy Kraft, who is co-host on a podcast.
Yes.
Which is pretty much Kevin and Scott. For the guys that you're doing, except it takes a really creepy turn. And you happen to be sleeping with Justin Long's girlfriend in the movie.
Yeah.
Which is kudos to you.
Thank you.
That's a great pick. Have you done any of this kind of this podcasting stuff or tried radio before?
As a guest, Kevin is a big evangelist for that. And he's like, you should get a podcast. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out, but it's a full-time job. I mean, he travels all around the world doing it, and I've been on, you know, Adam Carolla and Greg Fitzsimmons, and you know, a bunch of the great podcasts and everything. And it's a cool full-time job. So maybe if I find something I feel like I can contribute to the podcast sphere with, I'll get into it.
How long were you shooting this movie?
15 days. Yeah.
Your whole part was just 15 days?
The whole movie was 15 days.
The whole movie was 15 days? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
it's shot in North Carolina?
Belmont, North Carolina.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah. And then, well, we had 2 additional days with Johnny, but that was like 6 months after principal photography. So, yeah.
The way he wrote this ties into the next movie that he's producing, Yoga Hosers, and may even tie into the third movie that he's doing, Moose Jaws.
Yes.
So we know Justin Long is in the second movie. Are you part of these movies as well?
Yeah, everybody from Tusk, Michael, Johnny, the 2, everybody is back, which is kind of cool. We are not Johnny. Well, I don't want to say too much, but Justin and Genesis and I are not playing the same characters. As the internet figured out really quickly, I'm a Nazi in the 1930s in Quebec, and that's my storyline. So
you're a flashback?
Yeah. I'm I'm on a completely different storyline, and it's cool because it's Yoga Hosers branches off from Tusk. We meet these 2 clerks who are Johnny's daughter and Kevin's daughter, and then he wrote a whole movie about what's happening with them while Tusk is happening on that same compass.
How's this tour been so far? Tusk is out right now, and you've been doing a lot of promotion for this. All of you have been doing a lot of promotion for this. How has this tour been going so far?
I love promoting this movie, and especially because most of the time we've all been together. So in Toronto, me and Genesis and Justin were all doing press together, and at Comic-Con we were doing press with Kevin, and we all genuinely enjoy each other's company. So it's nice to be around on a movie like that. In some movies, you can be out on a junket just by yourself for like a week and doing stuff, and you kind of like get lost in the woods and everything. So when you're actually around the people who you made the project with, it makes it a lot better. And also A24 has been a terrific partner in this. So
I want to talk about some of your previous work for a moment here, because I read something and I found it kind of aggravating, and I know it has to be infuriating on your part here. When I read some reviews about Tusk and predictions about how Tusk will do, and they said it's great to see that you've come back. And I'm like, I looked at your history. I'm like, the guy never stopped working. You're always doing something, but everybody is so short-sighted nowadays where they still think you're just the kid from The Sixth Sense and only quote that line, but you've got an extensive body of work.
Well, thank you for saying that. But yeah, I mean, it's I can understand that perception because it's different doing, like a play in New York or some independent films, and the things that the audience that saw The Sixth Sense wouldn't necessarily also see. So I can understand that perception from people. But yeah, I've been really lucky, and my whole thing has always just been choosing work that's been interesting for me. So, going to study experimental theater at NYU, and then doing some of these independent films, and then after a while you start walking into things like this, and then Entourage, which is such an I just love that in the same year I made this movie and the Entourage movie, which are so different in so many ways, and it's just that's really a great thing for an actor. You get to have that wide diverse experience.
Well, I know people will say, "Oh, he's the kid from The Sixth Sense," and I know that's got it. It's nice, but it's a great piece of work. But you've done so much since then. You kind of like move past that. I knew you as the kid from Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
It predated that. But you do some work that I find very fascinating and a bit envious. You do a lot of voiceover work. You've done a lot of Disney sequels.
Yeah, and
you're even in the Kingdom Hearts video game.
That has been the longest project of my career. I started recording Kingdom Hearts stuff in 2001. And did more this year, for the expanding series and everything. So yeah, I love doing voiceover work. I also love doing radio. Yes, sitting behind a microphone like this is a comfortable place for me. And when we do Kingdom Hearts and things like that, just learning how to do a character with only your voice, or like changing your age, or that sort of thing is really good training for an actor.
Doing all this stuff, doing the voiceover work and the video game work, I can't imagine the process is much different, because maybe with the animation, you go through a run first, but then sometimes they have clips that they can show you so you can feel out how you're supposed to project for certain scenes. Are you doing the same thing with a video game? Are they showing you clips of here's a fight scene, here's a cut scene, you got to say it this way, look how it's going to appear on the camera?
It's even odder for the video game, because Kingdom Hearts starts off, it's produced in Japan and everything, and the English speaking actors dub in our voices for the English version after they've completed the Japanese version. So there's this really odd skill that I have developed really intensely over 10 years that's only good for this one thing, where they write a script where it's the same length and has the approximate number of lip flaps and everything. You have to put an English line over a mouth that's speaking Japanese, in that digital world and everything. So learning how to stretch words and sort of predict how long the person's going to be talking is this thing that I've developed on Kingdom Hearts. I wish I could use it elsewhere, but it's pretty much just for that.
Is this? You said you're still doing this. Is this something that if you didn't get any other acting work, would you be content with doing the voiceover stuff, or do you need to go out there and do the acting and portraying as well?
I think I'd put it in the same world as, why I like to throw theater in and to change it up from time to time, is that they all reinforce each other. So the way that you develop your voice and your sense of timing and characterization in voiceover is something that I want to take into things where they can actually see you. So I certainly love doing it, but I don't think I'd be content doing any one of these things by themselves, I think.
Besides Tusk, which is out now in theaters, and Yoga Hosers and Moose Jaws, I think you said you might be in. What are you working on right now that we can expect?
I just finished season 2 of Alpha House. That's on Amazon Prime. We're going to premiere towards the end of the year, probably November. I have a film called Sex Ed that we actually won Best Narrative Feature at the Portland Film Festival in August. That has an amazing cast. It's Matt Walsh from Veep, Retta from Parks and Recreation, Glenn Powell, Lorenza Izzo, Abby Elliott, a really fun coming-of-age comedy. That comes out November 9th. And then going into 2015, I have a project I can't really announce yet. I should be getting to work on next month. And then Entourage will come out in early 2015, and I'm sure that'll take up my time for a while.
Some of your other works that you've had, one which is very well known, Pay It Forward. You got to work with Kevin Spacey, which is a legend in this business. Mm-hmm. Have you watching House of Cards, by the way?
Oh yeah, I watched it in a day. Yeah, season one I did over a weekend, and then this year me and my girlfriend were like, let's do it in a day. Like it kind of doesn't make sense because you sort of start to trip out by the 7th or 8th hour because you're completely living in that world. It was a sunny day, and we drew the blinds and everything, but we did it all in one.
Did the binge watch.
Did it all in that Sunday. So yeah,
so it's so creepy seeing him like that now, right?
He's so great, and this character has so many of the things that he is legendary for, of making this twisted person likable and relatable, and I don't think many actors could pull off the Shakespearean asides that he does so well. I mean, that's just Kevin at his best.
And another movie that you did where I don't think it got its due, but I really enjoyed was Secondhand Lions.
Oh, thank you.
And you're working with two of the, if you could throw out some of the biggest names ever in the history of acting in Hollywood, Robert Duvall and Michael Caine.
Yeah.
And then there's you.
That was definitely a movie where you just pull up a director's chair next to those guys and just absorb whatever they're going to talk about. And they both had amazing stories. I mean, stories for the industry, obviously, but for Michael Caine, I mean, stories about, fighting in the Korean War and then, growing up in England back in the day. Just true storytellers as good as they were in the film.
How old were you when you did that movie?
I was 14.
14.
Yeah.
So you did that at 14, younger for Pay It Forward, younger for Sixth Sense, younger for Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks. Just look at the roster that you've appeared with. Did you understand the impact of who you were working with?
Yeah, I mean, and with all those guys, there was like a movie or two that I had seen, even if I was really young. Like even on Forrest Gump, I think I'd seen like Big or something. So you appreciated you were working with someone who, was at this high level. One thing that I think you can't really absorb as a kid is like where the movie's going to go, and then it's going to be seen by all these people and everything. And I guess that was kind of good because you do a performance that isn't distracted by that stuff, and kids can be good at being natural in that environment. But one thing, because you're doing something that there's really nothing to compare to at that age, or you're going to a different, it's first time I've been out of like California, you're going to a different state, you're shooting a big movie and everything. And one thing that really stands out is that all of those guys, and they all had it in common, was how focused they were and how hard they were working on this thing. So even at a young age, I remember picking that up about Hanks, who would just always be absorbed in his script, and Kevin, who's a lot of fun on set, but just completely consumed with the character and everything. So it's a cool thing to be around and a really good influence.
You mentioned Big. While on the set of Forrest Gump, you ever talk to Tom Hanks and see if you could do the keyboard scene?
We played ping pong. That was our on set thing. There was a ping pong table on the porch of the Gump house, and so that was the thing. I don't think I could really play at that age, and I think to give away some of the movie magic in the montage where we're playing, I'm just kind of standing there with a paddle and a grip is throwing the ping pong ball on the table for me. I think to make it look like that I could actually, but was coordinated enough to play ping pong at 4. But yeah.
Let's jump back to Tusk here, which is out in theaters now. Do you have any cool behind-the-scenes stories, like something fun that was going on? Like, what were you doing while you weren't shooting? What were you doing to pass the time and hang out?
It was such a short shoot that really most everything was... You see on camera most of the time that I spent on this movie. One really cool thing that happened, though, is that our set photographer, Kent Smith, works for the NFL as a photographer, and I think for the Panthers specifically. So one night, we finished shooting, and I raced to Charlotte, about an hour away, and put on a green NFL photographer's thing and was running around on the field shooting Patriots Carolina Monday Night Football, which is, I'm a huge NFL fan. That was like one of the coolest things that had happened to me. So my dad was watching television and everything, going, oh yeah, I can see you on the sideline. Gronk's head like smashed to the ground next to me. But yeah, we shot in an abandoned country club, this musty old place that was kind of like The Shining. And we added our walrus tank and, this really scary room and everything. So, yeah, it's in 15 days, most of what we did there is all on screen.
Did you get a chance to explore the town while you were there?
Really, I think what Kevin said, there's a lot of nice people and nothing else there. So, yeah I mean, there was houses and stuff. But
were you drawing any crowds from the locals while you were there?
No.
Nobody standing around watching?
I don't think it was a place where people kind of kept to themselves, these neighborhoods. And it was the old abandoned country club that people weren't really hanging out in and everything. So no, we were kind of anonymous while we were there.
What can you tell me without giving away, I guess, any plot points as far as Tusk goes? What was some of your favorite things to do in this movie?
It's not giving away too much, but there's, I gave Justin some grief about this because Justin's the star of the movie. But he had to be tortured the whole time, and me and Genesis got to run around with guns and Johnny Depp. So I was like, I kind of liked our part in the movie.
Let me ask you this then: if you worked, say, The Tonight Show or David Letterman and stuff like that, when Dave's not there and the sets strike, some people go down from the cast and the crew and they sit behind the desk, they take a photo.
Yeah.
Did people take turns wearing the walrus suit?
Nobody wanted to get in that.
Nobody?
No, it's a credit to how great Justin is and the performance that he gives, because that thing was so uncomfortable looking. I didn't get it.
Was it just made and he had to fit into it, or did they tailor it around his size?
There's stuff that he'd put on the head, and then he was, the little like orange blob with the handle that kids bounce around on, like the hippity hop. So
Right.
like Justin was like crouched over one of those so you could flop like a walrus. And then they put this hot suit around him and everything. So yeah, not a great place to be.
Nobody wanted to wear the suit?
No.
If I was in that movie, I'd be like, are we done shooting? Can I get a photo in the suit? That would have been my Christmas card.
Yeah, no, it was creepy. It's made from, the skins of, well, I guess that's giving away too much, but yeah, it's a creepy looking thing.
Did you take anything from the set as a souvenir to keep for yourself?
God, I don't know. We didn't really have props like that, you know, like the wheelchairs and all that stuff, all stuff that stayed in North Carolina when we left. Took warm feelings and memories home.
Well, Tusk is out in theaters now. Haley Joel Osment.
Yes.
As everyone tends to mispronounce. Go see the movie. I saw the movie. It's funny, it's creepy, and then and there's just parts where it's just absurd. Like, why is this part in the movie? And then it jumps to, oh, okay, now I see why it's in the movie. No, I still don't know why that's in the movie.
Yeah.
I think this will be the next big, if it's not a box office hit, it'll be the next big cult thing, because online, the whole Walrus Yes hashtags everywhere.
How much that's
I saw some footage of Kevin up in Toronto for the film festival, and they're all wearing Walrus masks and hats, and it's just insane.
Yeah.
So this movie should do very well.
It's been amazing. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Nice talking to you, man. Take care.
Come on now, more margaritas.
And that's all the time we have. Follow Erik on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at eRock Radio. The show should be back next week. Maybe in 2 weeks. Who the hell knows around here anymore?